Hi everyone, this is Sasha from Women's Fight News, sponsored by Champions Memorabilia. Fight night's coming up in Wembley. It's going to be at the SSE Arena. It's a boxer event, so it's going to be on Sky Sports. Caroline Dubois was meant to make her appearance, her pro debut, but unfortunately she's pulled out due to illness. They haven't said what illness, but it's such a shame really because she's done quite a lot of media coverage leading up to this. I know a lot of people are excited for her to make a debut, but I think could be a blessing in disguise. Hopefully, as she recovers in time. Like I say, they haven't said what illness, so I suppose we don't know how long it'll be till she gets back training and back realistically ready for a fight. But obviously, December 11th, big fight coming up, or fight night coming up for Boxer with Clarissa Shields on the card. So hopefully she could get on that card, so she's getting out before the end of the year. But unfortunately, she has withdrew from the event. But I must say, the excitement around Caroline Dubois is amazing. And I think my favorite bit so far of it all is like, no one's talking about her as Daniel Dubois' sister. It is Caroline in her own right. I think her amateur pedigree, you know, everything she's achieved in the sport so far, she's still incredibly young, has given her her own platform, which I think is great because I think that eliminates quite a bit of pressure straight away from being Daniel's sister. You know, like I say, she is her own person in her own right. So I think it's been a great start to her pro career in that sense, even though she hasn't stepped in the ring yet as a professional. But yeah, really excited to see her. And I think without even seeing her make a debut, I feel like you already can tell in the aura that she has that she is a future world champion. And what's exciting is we're seeing that in British boxing at the minute. We've got a couple of people who are turned over this year. Probably would have turned over prior if it wasn't for COVID, to be fair, but they've turned over and you can just see they're going to be world champions. You know, Sandy Ryan's another one. She's had 2 fights. You can see already that, you know, she is a world champion in the making. Raven Chapman, who was out last weekend, again, unbelievable performance. I put out on Twitter, I wouldn't think, if you didn't know better, you wouldn't think it was just a second pro fight, you know, very mature performance. So Caroline Dubois is going to be added into that mix of, I think you can tell early on that they're going to dominate the divisions they're in. So even though it's a little setback, it's a very minor setback for Caroline. And like I say, hopefully she can get out on that December 11th in Cardiff. Massive card. A lot of eyes will be on that, especially for women's boxing. The fact that Clarissa's fighting, even though Savannah's obviously now pulled out with a hand injury, Clarissa's still fighting. You imagine Savannah's going to be there. So it's going to be a lot of fireworks, a lot of media attention. So if Caroline can get on that, it probably could be a blessing in disguise that it's even more attention for her. And I feel like she could handle that quite early on in her career. However, there is still a female fight on the boxer card this weekend. Tasha Jonas, who announced just a couple of weeks ago that she's now signed with Sky Sports and Boxer. Not a surprise. I was surprised she wasn't announced first time round when Boxer were posting out and releasing who they'd signed. I presume Tasha would be one of them. Mainly, actually, to be fair, for her media coverage that she does. Obviously, she's a pundit for Sky Sports. That's what she was doing prior to Boxer signing with Sky. So I just presume that would be the case. But obviously what came to light in the Liverpool show was that I think a contract was already signed with Matchroom, that she would have a fight, however you want to, whether it was an easy fight or a tune-up fight or however you want to call it. She would have that fight at the Liverpool show a couple of weeks back. And then she would fight in December against Katie Taylor in the rematch. I thought that was strange in general, purely because they're trying to sign off the Katie Taylor-Amanda Serrano fight in April, I believe, Eddie Hearn said. So a bit of a risky fight for Katie Taylor to have in December, was my opinion. It was 6-4 to Katie. She did win the fight, in all fairness. But I had it 4-4 going into the 9th. Katie did win on experience in them championship rounds. But, don't know, bit of a risky fight, in my opinion. So would that have ever come to light? I don't know. Not sure. But obviously, there's a link just at the top of this video to the quick chat I had with Eddie Hearn and what he said and why Tasha didn't end up fighting on the Liverpool show. And basically he was just refusing to pay Tasha the amount of money that was in the contract for the fight that she wanted in that show in October. Tasha said it wasn't true. Anyway, I don't think we'll ever know what actually happened. But at the end of the day, Tasha didn't fight. She was due to fight in fight camp. There was a problem. Didn't fight in October. She's made the switch to Boxer and Sky Sports. Makes sense. And already she's out. Already she's got a fight. She's obviously got what I imagine is a tune-up fight, which makes sense. And I don't think anyone can knock her for wanting a tune-up fight. She is coming off a loss and a draw, and prior to that, she was inactive. So a tune-up fight makes sense. So it'll be interesting to see what opponent she has. I know Eddie criticised, saying it was someone who, God knows how many losses and 2 wins or something. But at the end of the day, it's a tune-up fight. Everyone does it. So why it was such a big deal for Tasha to do, I'm not too sure. I think there was a different motive with that one possibly, but Tasha is fighting this Saturday and then is eyeing up a world title next year. This is the bit that's interesting. Now, I've spoke to Tasha previously. Again, there's a link just at the top of this video to that chat. And she said she would be happy to fight anyone in the region of 130 to 140. She recently come out, I think it was during her boxer release, she was talking to the media then, and she said she would be happy to fight anyone from 130 to 147. Big jump. I mean, 17 pounds, don't get me wrong, like you got someone like Amanda Serrano who just flutters in between about 35 pounds, but 17 pounds is big. And she's never mentioned 147 before. But I said a while back, that's the only world title I see her being able to get her hands on. And I'm not saying the only world title she could win, but I just mean, obviously, to win a world title comes well before even stepping in the ring. You've got to get that fight, and that's complicated in boxing. If you look at the 130 division, that's don't get me wrong, what happened with Terry Harper and Alicia at last weekend in Sheffield was a huge upset in that division, but that division's kind of set already. At the end of the day, you've got Harper and Alicia will have that rematch, possibly. I know there's a rematch clause, whether she'll take it, I'm not too sure. Mayer's then already eyeing them up. You've got Choi, who there's rumours she may vacate, but that division's already kind of sussed out of, we're going to see a unified champion probably a little bit later now because of what happened in Sheffield, but we are going to see it next year. And if you're not already in the mix, you're not getting in the mix, basically. That's how I see the 130 division playing out. I see the winner of Alicia and Harper facing Mayer to become undisputed. So I don't see her getting in there. I don't see the rematch with Katie happening because Katie's fighting in December in Liverpool. And then she's hopefully fighting Amanda Serrano in April. So she doesn't have the 135 title. The 140 title, obviously, is that undisputed tournament. So we've seen Chantel Cameron beat Mary McGee, again, a couple of weeks back in London. She will then face the winner of Jessica and Callie. That is happening this Saturday. So, and then the winner of that obviously will fight Chantel. They're going to fight next year to become undisputed. So I don't see her getting in the mix with that either. So then you look at the 147 and it's Jessica McCaskill. And I see that happening. I see that happen for quite a few reasons, because Jessica's been inactive since beating Cecilia. It's like everyone avoids her. No one wants that. Don't blame them. Jessica's a very good fighter. You don't become undisputed and beat one of the world's best by being an average fighter. She's a very good fighter, but she's hard work in the ring as well. She is relentless. The amount of punches she throws, you need to go in with an engine to just last the 10 rounds, let alone even win them. But the thing with Jessica is she's not really a 147 fighter. She's had to move up because no one would take her lower. And do you know what I mean? So Jessica isn't a 147 fighter. Either's Tasha. So it's even. It's not Tasha who's just fought at 130, then fought at 135, moving all the way up just to get a world title fight. This is a fight that actually could happen anyway. Take away the belts weight-wise, that could happen. And they'd probably fight lower than 147, I would imagine. They'd probably be more suited to 140, the pair of them. But that's a fight I see happening. Now, you see Rick Ramos, he's always, flirting on Twitter with what's coming up, what could be happening. And I know he's trying to pin down a fight for Jessica. So could the stars align where we're seeing Jessica have a fight? Again, I know she's undisputed champion, but it's going to have to be some sort of a tune-up fight because she's been inactive. No one wants to go near her. No one wants to step in the ring with her. And it'll be the same for Tasha. We know this is a tune-up fight. Will we see them come together next year? That's where Tasha's talking about wanting a world title. That's the world title I think is easiest for her to get her hands on. Not in the sense of winning in the ring, because for me, that fight's 50-50. I think any fight is always going to be a close one. When you're talking about two world champions, like genuine world level fighters, it's going to be close, and they're both world level fighters. But I just don't see the other divisions having that opportunity for anyone slightly out the mix to get in, especially next year. You know, if Tasha was saying late next year, if we're talking 12 months down the line, she wants a world title shot, then it would be open. But as it stands, in my opinion, the only fight or the only world title I see her getting is that 147. So it'll be interesting to see. But Tasha is fighting this Saturday on Sky Sports in the Boxer event. So make sure you tune in, watch it, see how she's doing, see how she's performing. I know she's been in the gym. She's been relentless in training. She's always in shape. So I imagine it being quite a dominant, very confident performance. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to our channel where we have new videos dropping all of the time. Also head over to our social media pages where we have the latest boxing news as well as interviews and live coverage from boxing events.